Another CVT recall. Subaru teases their new EV STI, and the all-new 2022 Forester is named the cheapest new car to insure. All that ahead on Subaru News. So to start off, recall, another CVT recall from Subaru. This recall just issued a couple of weeks ago. This new recall will be affecting the 2019 and 2020 Ascent, the 2020 Legacy, and 2020 Outback. This recall covers an issue with programming in the TCM that allows the CVT chain to slip and could possibly break. The issue stems from the variators not clamping the chain tightly, causing the chain to possibly slip on the variators, causing damage to the variator pulleys, damage to the chain, and ultimately could cause chain breakage. This issue causes a slippage in the transmission, a loss of power, which could result in an issue, a loss of control of the vehicle, or possibly a crash. So, Subaru has not seen any issues arise from this problem so far. They're just doing this as a super preventative measure to keep any instances from happening, although it's pretty rare that it actually would happen. Now, Subaru plans to mail out these recall notices to owners of affected vehicles around the 7th of February and slates the repairs to begin around April. What will happen during this repair time is you will bring your vehicle into Subaru. They will check the TCM programming, update this programming. At that time, they will do an inspection of your transmission. They will drop your pan, remove your fluid, and pull down the valve body to visually inspect the chain and the variators for any damage. If any damage is seen, Subaru will be replacing your entire transmission under warranty under this recall coverage. Customers likely can expect to be without their cars for several hours or a few days, just depending on what is found. If it just needs the programming and the inspection, you likely can get your vehicle back same day. If it is a replacement, you're probably looking at a few days. Not known yet, but Subaru likely will handle this with a loaner vehicle during this time. So for you owners that might not be familiar with exactly how your CVT works in your Subaru, we're going to look at this visualization on screen now. So as you can see, there are two variators. Variators are two interchangeable dimension pulleys that are hydraulically controlled, whether they're a smaller diameter or a larger diameter. They have an infinite range between their set smallest and largest point at which they can vary the ratio from the input from the engine to the output to the driveline. There is a metal chain that runs between these two pulleys, and it operates similar to how a 10-speed bicycle works. There's a cassette at the back of different gears that gets smaller as you shift up. The chain gets skipped up and down these gears to vary your gear ratio and your speed between the input that you pedal and the speed of the rear wheel. This is how the CVT in your Subaru works essentially. So the issue, as you see on the graph, is, and as I said before, that the chain is not being gripped properly by the pulleys, by these variators, and it allows it to slip. And when it slips, the metal digs in, causes damage to these variators, causes damage to the chain, and severe enough could break the metal chain. So that's why Subaru has issued this recall. They want to bring in the vehicles affected and make sure that their customers are taken care of and there's no issues with their vehicle. Moving along, Subaru has just teased us a few days ago with their new EV STI vehicle. And boy, I don't know if I'm ready for this. Guys, leave in the comments below, what do you think of an electric STI vehicle? This new vehicle will be shown at the Tokyo Auto Show in 2022. This show happens mid-January. This is their front runner. This is what they are really wanting to show off, is this new concept EV STI, which will be called the STI ERA. E standing for electric, of course, and the RA standing for record attempt. Those of you that are Subaru STI fans know about the RA models, the Type RA STI, etc. The RA has always stood for record attempt. That is why it is the top tier of any of the vehicles they put out that year. It is the most powerful, best handling, best performing, because that is the nomenclature they put on their record-attempting vehicles. So this new STI ERA already has high expectations just on having the RA namesake on it. Now, Subaru claims that this is going to be a carbon-neutral sports car. Now, that in itself is laughable. Anyone that knows the true nature of electric vehicles, there is no such thing as carbon neutrality, but we're not going to get into that in this video. So, as a performance standpoint, having the battery packs low in the car will give a lower center of gravity, much as how Subarus have a low center of gravity now with their low-slung boxer engines and their all-wheel drive drivetrain. So that will be a tick in the right direction as far as performance is concerned. Now, being electric, you will have instantaneous torque output for the motors, which again is great for a performance-oriented vehicle. Now, driving range, power output, all of those numbers we know nothing of. All we have at this point is this picture of the front end of the car in a billow of fog and smoke. So as we see on the front bumper, through the smoke and fog, we see an STI emblem on the front of the bumper. We don't see the regular Subaru emblem. And that's because this is going to be an STI branded vehicle. Those of you not familiar with the Japanese market, STI is its own separate brand under Subaru. Just like how Ram is now the truck brand for Dodge. A lot of people still call it a Dodge Ram pickup, but Dodge hasn't made trucks since 2011. It is now the Ram brand. This is the same with this. This is the STI brand. As we look at the front end, we see that it looks kind of similar to the BRZ. We have the low slung front end, wide front end, looks very sporty. We have the large C-shaped LED lights that Subaru has become famous for in the last decade or so in their design. But that's all we have so far on this new vehicle. We have to wait until January of 2022 to see the full unveil of this concept EV STI. And rounding out today's video, the new 2022 Forester has been named the least expensive new vehicle to insure. The new Forester snags the #1 spot, followed by the Jeep Cherokee, the Honda CR-V, the Jeep Wrangler, and the Honda Odyssey. Insurance companies look at rates of incidents and accidents and the cost to repair when calculating the overall cost to insure a vehicle. They also look at the engine size, horsepower, and overall safety features of that vehicle. The Forester gets high marks here as it has lower incidences of accidents, wrecks, and ticketing of the driver. It has good crash ratings. It has all of the latest safety features, even on the baser models, having the eyesight system that has automatic braking with pedestrian sensing, having lane assist, having blind spot monitoring, and the adaptive cruise control. And the higher end Foresters coming with the new driver focus system that alerts you when a driver is texting or distracted or not paying attention to the road ahead. All of these metrics are what put Forester at the top spot for the cheapest insurance rate and overall cost to insure yearly. On the flip side of this, the most expensive vehicles to insure for 2022 will be the Tesla Model 3, the Tesla Model Y, the Hyundai Sonata, the Kia Forte, and the Hyundai Elantra. And you know what? I can pretty much agree with this list. Looking at the Teslas, they've always been overpriced and overhyped. And given the complexity and the cost of components of an electric vehicle, I can say that the repair cost after a crash with those will likely be astronomical. Plus, the way that a lot of the Tesla drivers drive, I can see why they'd have a higher rate of incidents and accidents. And looking at the Hyundais and Kias, I'm pretty sure most of you can agree with me that looking at brand new ones or, ones that are only a year or two old, I see a lot of damage in those cars, a lot of fender benders, a lot of dents and dings, and front bumpers knocked off and rear bumpers knocked off, and paint scuffs and scratches. I do see a lot of incidents and accidents involving those vehicles. Whoever's buying all these new Hyundais and Kias usually are baser models. I see a lot of younger drivers, teenagers in these cars, and as most of us know, a lot of teenagers like to drive with a cell phone in their hand, distracted, and the music loud and everything else. So kind of goes par for the course with the rates of incidents and accidents they have, also tickets, and just that high insurance rate for that vehicle. All right, guys, and that'll do it for today's episode of Subaru News. Leave your thoughts, feelings, and comments in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on the new EV STI? Are we ready for a performance electric Subaru? Do you have a 19 or 20 Ascent, a 20 Legacy, or Outback? Have you had any issues with your CVT? Are you a little concerned about the new car having to possibly get a new transmission? And those of you looking at a 22 Forester, is it an incentive to go ahead and buy it, knowing it's going to be the cheapest new car that you can insure? Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you in the next one.